standing in line at a rundown food truck, sweat dripping down your back in the midday heat, and the woman behind the counter, the same one who shattered your heart and humiliated you years ago, doesn't even glance your way. She snaps at you to hurry up, treating you like just another nobody. But then, as you lean in to pay, you whisper those three words, "Still remember me?" Her face drains of color. That's when the real story begins. If you've ever been overlooked, belittled, or straight up crushed by someone who thought they were better than you, this one's going to hit home. We're diving into a Reddit revenge tale that's pure karma in action, the kind that leaves you fist pumping by the end. So, if you're ready for that sweet taste of justice, smash that like button right now, subscribe for more stories that make you believe in payback, and let's get into it. Trust me, you won't want to miss this. Alright, folks. Let's set the scene. This story comes from a Reddit post that's been blowing up, a classic underdog tale with a twist that feels like it was ripped from a Hollywood script. Our protagonist, let's call him Alex. Back in high school, Alex was the definition of invisible. Skinny kid with thick glasses, always buried in books or tinkering with computers in the corner of the library. He wasn't rich, his family scrapped by on his mom's waitressing tips and his dad's odd jobs. But Alex had dreams, big ones. He wanted to build something, change the world through tech. Problem was, no one saw that potential, especially not her. Enter Sarah. Oh, Sarah. She was the queen bee of their small town high school, a cheerleader captain, homecoming queen, the girl everyone wanted to be or be with. Long blonde hair that always seemed to catch the light just right, a laugh that echoed through the halls like she owned the place. But beneath that sparkle, a sharp tongue and a knack for cutting people down to size. Alex had crushed on her from afar for years. He'd watch her in class, heart pounding, imagining what it would be like if she just noticed him. One day, he mustered every ounce of courage he had. It was senior year, prom season buzzing in the air. Alex's palms were slick with sweat as he approached her locker, clutching a single rose he'd saved up for. His voice cracked as he asked, "Sarah, would you maybe want to go to prom with me?" He could feel his face burning, the knot in his stomach twisting tighter. She turned, eyes widening for a split second before bursting into laughter. Not kind laughter, the cruel kind that draws a crowd. "You? Seriously?" She scoffed, loud enough for her friends to hear. They gathered like vultures, giggling. "Alex, you're a nobody, a loser with no future. Why would I waste my time on someone like you?" Her words hit like punches. She flicked the rose from his hand, letting it fall to the dirty floor. "Go back to your computers or whatever. You'll never amount to anything." Alex stood there, frozen, as the hallway erupted in whispers and snickers. His chest tightened, like someone had wrapped barbed wire around his heart. Tears stung his eyes, but he blinked them back, refusing to give her the satisfaction. Inside, though, rage simmered. Not just anger, a deep, burning humiliation that seeped into his bones. "Why me?" he thought, replaying her words on loop that night as he stared at the ceiling. "What did I do to deserve that?" It wasn't just rejection, it was obliteration. She didn't just say no, she made sure everyone knew he was worthless. That moment became his fuel. Alex threw himself into his passion, coding. Nights blurred into days as he taught himself programming languages, building apps in his tiny bedroom. His hands flew over the keyboard, the clack-clack rhythm that drowned out the echoes of her laughter. He skipped parties, ignored the isolation, and focused on one thing, proving her wrong. "I'll show them," he'd mutter to himself, jaw clenched. "I'll show her." Fast forward a decade. Alex isn't that skinny kid anymore. Through sheer grit, late nights, failed startups, ramen noodle diet, say he built a tech empire. His company? A cybersecurity firm that's now worth over $100 million. He's the CEO, jet-setting to board meetings, featured in Forbes as a self-made innovator. Suits tailored to perfection, a confident stride that turns heads. But deep down, that high school wound, it never fully healed. It scarred over, a reminder of where he came from. Sarah, on the other hand, life hadn't been kind. After high school, she chased the spotlight, modeling gigs that fizzled, a string of bad relationships, dreams of fame that crashed hard. Now, She's in her late 20s, running a struggling food truck in the same small town. Sarah's snacks: a beat-up van parked in a dusty lot, serving greasy tacos and soggy fries to construction workers and passers-by. Her once perfect hair is tied back in a messy ponytail, apron stained with oil. The queen bee, reduced to hustling for tips, barking orders at customers to keep the line moving. Bills piling up, the truck on its last legs. She felt the weight of it every day, the ache in her feet after 12-hour shifts, the gnawing frustration of a life that didn't pan out. This can't be it, she'd think, wiping sweat from her brow, forcing a smile for the next order. One scorching summer afternoon, Alex is back in town for a family visit. He's driving his sleek black Tesla, windows down, when he spots the food truck. Curiosity pulls him over, and then he sees her, Sarah, yelling at a slow customer, her voice sharp and impatient. His heart skips. No way, he thinks, a mix of shock and that old fire igniting. He parks, joins the line, heart thumping like it did back at her locker. He's dressed down, jeans, a plain tee, but there's an air about him now, a quiet power. The line crawls. Sarah doesn't look up, focused on flipping burgers, the sizzle and smoke filling the air. When it's his turn, she snaps. What'll it be? Make it quick, hey, I've got people waiting. No eye contact, just a dismissive wave. Alex feels that familiar sting, but this time, it's mixed with anticipation. His hand steady as he orders a simple taco. Voice calm. She slaps it together, thrusts it forward. That'll be $8.50. He hands over a crisp $20, leaning in just a bit. Their eyes meet for the first time. Hers are tired, lined with exhaustion. His, steady, with a glint of something deeper. As she grabs the bill, he whispers, soft but clear, "Still remember me, Sarah?" Time freezes. Her hand trembles, the $20 slipping slightly. She squints. Really looks at him now, the jawline, the confident posture. Recognition dawns like a storm cloud. "Hey, Alex?" She stammers, voice cracking. The color drains from her face, replaced by a flash of horror. "Oh my God. You're him." He nods, a small smile playing on his lips, not cruel, but satisfied. "Yeah, the loser with no future. Funny how things change, huh?" The words hang in the air, heavy with years of pent-up emotion. Around them, the line shifts uncomfortably, but Alex doesn't care. This is his moment. Sarah's mind races. Flashes of that hallway, her laughter, the rose on the floor. Guilt crashes over her like a wave, mixing with envy as she glances at his watch, a Rolex, subtle but screaming success. What are you doing here?" she whispers, throat dry. "Just grabbing lunch," he says casually, but his eyes lock on hers. "Heard about your truck. Tough business, right? Long hours, low pay. Kind of like being a nobody." He pauses, letting it sink in. Her hands fidget with the apron, nails bitten down, a far cry from the manicured queen she once was. Inside, Alex's thoughts swirl. This is it. She sees me now, not as the reject, but as the one who made it. His pulse quickens, a rush of validation flooding him. No more powerlessness. But he's not done. See, Alex had done his homework. He'd looked her up online, saw the truck's reviews tanking, the debt notices, public record. "I could help, he says, voice low. "Buy this place out, turn it around, or not." It's not a threat, it's an offer laced with irony. The power shift is palpable at her needing him now. Sarah swallows hard, eyes darting away. I didn't mean back then." But the words falter. The customers murmur, sensing the tension. She feels exposed, small, the same way he did all those years ago. And here's where the revenge hits its peak. Alex pulls out his phone, taps a few buttons, and shows her the screen. A news article headline: "A local tech whiz Alex Thompson sells company for $99 million. Her eyes widen, jaw dropping. The taco slips from her hand, splattering on the counter. You're a millionaire?" She gasps, voice barely above a whisper. Shock twists her features, brows furrowed, lips parted in disbelief. He leans in one last time. "CEO, actually, built it from nothing. No thanks to people like you." The words aren't yelled, they're delivered with quiet steel, cutting deeper than any shout. Sarah stumbles back, hand over her mouth, humiliated in front of her own line. Tears well up, not just from embarrassment, but from the crushing realization, the loser she dismissed is now untouchable, while she's scrapping by. Alex feels a tather release, years of bottled-up pain evaporating in that moment. His shoulders relax, a genuine smile breaking through. Triumph surges through him like electricity. He leaves the change as a tip, a generous $100 bill, and walks away, head high. No looking back, the engine of his Tesla hums to life, leaving her in the dust. Phew. Talk about karma coming full circle. This story reminds us that life has a way of balancing the scales. Sometimes, the best revenge is just living well and letting the world see it. It's not about destruction, it's about rising above. Makes you think, how many times have we judged someone too quickly, or been on the receiving end? Justice served, cold and satisfying. If that gave you the chills, that epic moment of recognition, hit that like button hard and drop a comment below. What's the most satisfying revenge you've ever seen or pulled off? Stories like this are why we do this channel. Subscribe now, turn on notifications, and join the community for more Reddit tales that hit right in the feels. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.
Back in high school, I was the invisible kid. The one with oversized glasses, hand-me-down clothes, and a backpack stuffed with library books on computers and coding. My name was Alex, but to most people, I was just that nerd. I kept to myself, dreaming of building something big in tech, but social life? Non-existent. Then there was Sarah. She was everything I wasn't. Popular, confident, the cheerleader with a smile that could light up the gym. Her laughter was infectious, but only if you were in her circle. I crushed on her hard, from afar, scribbling her name in the margins of my notebooks. One day, I gathered every scrap of courage and asked her to prom. My heart hammered as I approached her in the hallway, holding a cheap bouquet I'd bought with my lunch money. "Sarah, would you go with me?" I stammered, my voice barely above a whisper. She turned, her friends hovering like a pack of hyenas. At first, she just stared, then burst out laughing. "You? Seriously, Alex? You're a joke, a total loser who'll never amount to anything." Her words sliced through me, and her friends joined in, pointing and whispering. She tossed the flowers aside like trash. I stood there, face burning, the hallway spinning. That moment broke something in me, but it also ignited a fire. I vowed to prove her wrong. I dove into coding, skipping sleep, turning pain into purpose. Years later, that fire built me an empire. The sun beat down mercilessly on the cracked asphalt of the old parking lot, turning the air into a thick, shimmering haze. It was one of those blistering afternoons in our small hometown, the kind where the heat waves danced off the pavement and made everything feel like a mirage. I pulled my sleek black Tesla into the lot, the engine humming softly as I scanned the scene. There it was, a weathered food truck parked crookedly under a faded awning, the sign reading "Sarah's Bites" in peeling red letters. The truck looked like it had seen better days, rust spots creeping along the edges, a dented grill hissing smoke, and a line of about 5 sweaty customers shuffling forward impatiently. I hadn't come here by accident. Word had gotten around through old high school acquaintances that Sarah, yes, that Sarah, was running this operation. Life hadn't panned out for her the way she probably imagined. After graduation, she chased dreams of modeling and influencer fame, posting glamorous selfies from auditions in the city. But reality hit hard. Failed gigs, bad breakups, and eventually a return to town with nothing but debt and a second-hand food truck. Now she slung tacos and burgers to locals, her once perfect life reduced to grease stains and tip jars. I stepped out of the car, adjusting my sunglasses, dressed casually in jeans and a plain white button-up that hid the Rolex on my wrist. No need to flaunt it yet. My heart picked up pace as I joined the line, a familiar knot twisting in my gut. It had been over a decade since that hallway humiliation, but the memory still stung like a fresh wound. I had built a cybersecurity firm from my bedroom laptop, turning it into a $99 million powerhouse. Boardrooms, TED Talks, private jets. That was my world now. But deep down, I carried that rejection like a shadow. Today, though? Today was about closure. The line moved slowly. Ahead of me, a construction worker grumbled about the wait, wiping sweat from his brow with a dirty rag. The smell of frying onions and sizzling meat wafted out, mingling with the metallic tang of exhaust from passing cars. Sarah was inside the truck, her back to me at first, barking orders at what looked like a teenage helper. "Hurry up with those fries. We've got people out here melting." Her voice was sharper than I remembered, edged with exhaustion. She turned to the window, ponytail disheveled, apron smeared with sauce. No makeup could hide the lines of fatigue around her eyes, the subtle slump in her shoulders from years of hard labor. When it was my turn, she didn't even look up. "What'll it be? Taco? Burger? Make it quick, lines backing up." Her tone was clipped, dismissive, like I was just another faceless customer interrupting her grind. She wiped her hands on a towel, eyes fixed on the order pad. "I'll take a beef taco, extra cheese," I said calmly, my voice steady despite the adrenaline surging through me. She nodded absently, assembling it with practiced efficiency. The slap of tortilla on the counter, the scoop of meat, the sprinkle of toppings. The truck's interior was a chaos of steam and clanging utensils, bottles of hot sauce rattling with each movement. "That'll be $7.50, she muttered, holding out her hand without meeting my gaze. I pulled out a crisp $20 from my wallet, but instead of handing it over right away, I leaned in slightly, close enough to smell the faint hint of her perfume mixed with kitchen grease. Our eyes locked for the first time. Hers were hazel, dulled by the day, but widening slightly as something flickered. Recognition? No, not yet. I whispered, soft and deliberate. "Still remember me, Sarah?" Time seemed to stretch. Her hand froze mid-reach, the bill hovering between us. Color drained from her face, leaving her pale against the truck's fluorescent lights. She blinked once, twice, squinting as if trying to place me. Then it hit. Her eyes grew wide, lips parting in a silent gasp. "Alex? Alex Thompson?" Her voice cracked, barely audible over the sizzle of the grill. I nodded, a small smile tugging at my lips, not triumphant yet, but close.
Reality Styles and Ajo is the kind of kid who blended into the walls in high school. Awkward, quiet, always hunched over a laptop in the library, coding away my loneliness. My name was Lucas, and I was the quintessential nerd. Glasses too big for my face, clothes that never quite fit, and a dream of escaping our small town through tech. I wasn't cool, didn't play sports, didn't get invited to parties, but I had my passion, and it kept me going. Then there was Chloe. She was the sun everyone orbited. Cheer captain, prom queen, with a megawatt smile and a laugh that could charm or destroy. I'd had a crush on her since freshman year, doodling her name in binary code on my notes, too shy to ever speak to her. Junior year, I finally worked up the nerve. It was after a pep rally, the gym still buzzing with energy. I caught her alone by the bleachers, my heart hammering like a drum. "Chloe, would you maybe go to the spring dance with me?" I stammered, clutching a crumpled note I'd written and rewritten a dozen times. She turned, her eyes glinting with amusement, then let out a laugh that cut like glass. "You, Lucas, please, you're a nobody. Stick to your computers. You'll never be anything more." Her friends appeared, giggling, and she tossed my note to the floor, walking away as the laughter echoed. The humiliation burned, searing itself into my memory. I swore then I'd prove her wrong, channeling every ounce of pain into my work, coding through nights, building something that would make the world notice me. reality style. I was the kind of kid who blended into the walls in high school. Awkward, quiet, always hunched over a laptop in the library, coding away my loneliness. My name was Lucas, and I was the quintessential nerd. Glasses too big for my face, clothes that never quite fit, and a dream of escaping our small town through tech. I wasn't cool, didn't play sports, didn't get invited to parties, but I had my passion, and it kept me going. Then there was Chloe. She was the sun everyone orbited, cheer captain, prom queen, with a megawatt smile and a laugh that could charm or destroy. I'd had a crush on her since freshman year, doodling her name in binary code on my notes, too shy to ever speak to her. Junior year, I finally worked up the nerve. It was after a pep rally, the gym still buzzing with energy. I caught her alone by the bleachers, my heart hammering like a drum. "Chloe, would you maybe go to the spring dance with me?" I stammered, clutching a crumpled note I'd written and rewritten a dozen times. She turned, her eyes glinting with amusement, then let out a laugh that cut like glass. "You? Lucas? Please, you're nobody. Stick to your computers. You'll never be anything more." Her friends appeared, giggling, and she tossed my note to the floor, walking away as the laughter echoed. The humiliation burned, searing itself into my memory. I swore then I'd prove her wrong, channeling every ounce of pain into my work, coding through nights, building something that would make the world notice me. The August heat was brutal, pressing down on the dusty parking lot where Chloe's food truck sat, a faded relic parked near the town's old fairgrounds. The sign read Chloe's Chomps, the letters chipped, the paint peeling like a bad memory. I'd heard through the grapevine, old classmates who loved to gossip, that Chloe's life hadn't gone as planned. After high school, she'd chased stardom in LA, modeling and influencer gigs, but it all fell apart. Bad contracts, worse relationships, and now she was back, running this struggling truck, serving burgers to truckers and locals scraping by. I pulled my matte gray Porsche into the lot, the engine's soft growl a quiet testament to the life I'd built. I wasn't here by accident. A quick online search had painted the picture. Her truck was drowning in debt, reviews slamming her for slow service and a sour attitude. Today was about settling a score, not with cruelty, but with truth. I stepped out, dressed in jeans and a simple black tee, though the subtle gleam of my Audemars Piguet watch hinted at my success. At 27, I was a tech mogul. My AI startup sold for $150 million last year. My name splashed across Forbes and Wired. But that moment in the gym still lingered, a scar that ached when I thought of Chloe. Joining the short line of customers, I felt my pulse quicken, a mix of nerves and anticipation. The air was thick with the smell of frying grease and sweat, the truck's generator rattling like it was on its last legs. Chloe was inside, snapping at a teenage worker, her voice sharp with exhaustion. "Hurry up, Matt! We're not running a charity here!" Her blonde hair was pulled into a messy bun, her apron stained, her face etched with the strain of a life that hadn't delivered. When I reached the window, she didn't look up. "What do you want? Let's make this quick," she said, her tone clipped, eyes on the order pad. My chest tightened, but I kept my cool. "1 cheeseburger, no onions," I said evenly. She slapped it together, the sizzle of the grill filling the silence, and slid it across the counter. $9, she muttered, hand outstretched. I handed her a $20, leaning just enough to catch her eye. I whispered, my voice low but clear. "Still remember me, Chloe?" Her hand froze, the bill trembling in her grip. Her eyes flicked up, confused at first, then widening as recognition hit like a shockwave. "Lucas?" she gasped, stepping back, nearly knocking over a stack of cups. The teenage worker glanced over, bewildered as the line behind me grew restless. "Yeah," I said, a faint smile curling my lips. "The nobody from high school. Guess I'd turned out to be something after all."
her face drained of color, memories flooding back. I could see it in the way her lips parted, in the way her hands shook. The burger sat between us, forgotten, as the past roared back to life. The air inside Chloe's food truck felt suffocating, heavy with the weight of grease and unspoken history. The fluorescent lights buzzed faintly, casting harsh shadows on her face, which had gone from flushed to ghostly pale in seconds. Her hazel eyes, once sharp with teenage arrogance, now darted between mine, searching for something, an explanation, maybe, or a way to undo the moment. The $20 bill crumpled in her hand as she gripped the counter, steadying herself. Matt, the teenage worker, pretended to wipe down the grill, but his eyes flicked toward us, catching the tension. Behind me, the line, 3 sweaty construction workers and an older woman with a reusable tote grumbled about the delay, their voices a low hum against the clatter of the truck's kitchen. But none of that mattered. This was about us, about a wound from 10 years ago that still bled when I let it. Chloe's voice cracked, barely audible over the hiss of frying patties. She swallowed hard, her fingers twisting the edge of her apron, stained with ketchup and oil. "What are you doing here?" Her voice was a mix of shock and defensiveness, like she was bracing for an attack. I could see the gears turning. She was reliving that gym moment, her cruel laughter, the note she tossed like garbage. Her cheeks flushed now, not with confidence, but with the dawning realization of who I'd become. "Just grabbing a bite," I said, keeping my
Reality style is a good lesson in perseverance. I was the kid nobody noticed in high school, the one with scuffed sneakers and a laptop always humming under my arm. My name was Ethan, a lanky teenager obsessed with coding and sci-fi novels, content to fade into the background of our small-town school. I didn't need the spotlight. I had my dreams of building something revolutionary in tech. But Sarah, she was the spotlight. Head cheerleader, prom queen, with a laugh that could charm or cut depending on her mood. Her golden hair and perfect smile made her untouchable, the kind of girl who ruled the hallways like royalty. I'd harbored a quiet crush on her for years, sketching her initials in the corners of my notebooks, too shy to ever say a word. Then came senior year. I overheard her talking about needing a date for the spring formal, and in a rare burst of courage, I approached her at lunch, my heart pounding so loud I thought it burst. "Sarah, would you maybe go to the dance with me?" I mumbled, clutching a soda can to steady my shaking hands. Her friends snickered, and she turned, eyes narrowing like she was sizing up a bug. "Ethan, you?" She laughed, sharp and cold, loud enough to draw stares. "Why would I go with a nobody like you? You're just some geek who'll never be anything." The words landed like a punch, her friends' giggles echoing as I slunk away, face burning, vowing to prove her wrong. That humiliation became my fuel, driving me to code through sleepless nights, building apps and dreaming of a future where I'd never feel small again. The summer sun scorched the cracked pavement of the town's old fairgrounds, where a rusty food truck sat parked under a sagging canopy. The faded sign read, "Sarah's Snack Shack," its letters chipped and peeling, a far cry from the glossy life Sarah once flaunted. I had heard whispers from old classmates. She'd chased fame after high school, modeling in the city, but crashed hard after bad deals and worse boyfriends. Now, at 29, she was back, running this struggling truck, serving greasy burgers to truckers and locals. I pulled my sleek Audi into the lot, the engine's low purr a quiet contrast to the clatter of the food truck's generator. I wasn't here by chance. A quick Google search had confirmed her situation. Drowning in debt, 1-star Yelp reviews piling up. Today wasn't about gloating. It was about closure. I stepped out, dressed down in jeans and a black polo, though the Patek Philippe watch on my wrist hinted at the life I'd built. My cybersecurity startup had sold for $120 million last year, turning me into a tech world name at 28. I traded my old insecurities for boardroom confidence, but Sarah's words still lingered, a splinter in my psyche.
Joining the short line of customers, I felt my pulse quicken, that old high school nervousness creeping back. The air smelled of burnt oil and onions, the truck's window smeared with grease. Sarah was inside, snapping at a young worker, her voice sharp with stress. "Move it, Jake, we're slammed." Her ponytail was frayed, her apron stained, her face lined with the weight of a life that hadn't panned out. When my turn came, she didn't look up. "What do you want? Hurry up, I've got a line." Her tone was brusque, dismissive, like I was just another annoyance. My chest tightened, but I kept my voice even. "One chicken taco, please." She slapped it together, barely glancing at me, the clink of tongs against the grill filling the silence. $8, she said, holding out her hand. I slid a $20 across the counter, leaning in just enough to catch her eye. I whispered low and deliberate, "Still remember me, Sarah?" Her hand froze, eyes flicking up to meet mine. Confusion, then shock washed over her face. "Ethan?" she choked out, stepping back, nearly knocking over a stack of paper plates. The young worker glanced over, puzzled as the line behind me grew restless. "Yeah," I said, a faint smile tugging at my lips. "The geek who'd never be anything. Funny how things turn out." Her face paled, memories flooding back. I could see it in the way her eyes darted, reliving that lunchroom moment. The tacos sat between us, forgotten, as the world narrowed to just us two.